The French Revolution was a significant period of social and political upheaval in France and is often viewed as a turning point in world history. It lasted from 1789 to 1799 and had profound effects on France and beyond. Causes: 1. Social inequality. The French Revolution, which lasted from 1789 to 1799, was significantly influenced by social inequality, which was primarily embedded within the framework of the Ancien Regime. Pre-revolutionary social structure. 1. Estate system. First estate. Clergy. They held significant power and wealth, including exemptions from many taxes. Second estate. Nobility. They were privileged, owned vast amounts of land, and were generally exempt from taxation. Third estate. Commoners. This group comprised about 98% of the population, including peasants, urban workers, and the bourgeoisie middle class. They carried the burden of taxation and had little political power. Economic disparity. The Third Estate faced heavy taxation while the First and Second Estates enjoyed tax exemptions. This created deep resentment and frustration amongst commoners who struggled to meet their basic needs. Food shortages, resulting from poor harvests and rising prices, heightened the disparities and contributed to the tensions leading to the revolution. Political disenfranchisement. The Third Estate had little representation in the government. Although they were the majority, their voices were often overshadowed by the interests of the privileged classes. The Estates General, convened in 1789, highlighted the inequalities. The Third Estate was often outvoted by the two privileged estates, leading to calls for the economic hardship leading up to the French Revolution, which began in 1789, was a significant factor that contributed to the unrest and eventual uprising against the monarchy. Several key elements contributed to this economic strain. 1. Debt and financial crisis. France was heavily indebted due to its involvement in several costly wars, including the 7 Years' War and the American Revolutionary War. The government struggled to manage the national debt, leading to a financial crisis. Taxation issues. The tax system in France was highly inequitable. The burden of taxation fell predominantly on the Third Estate, commoners, while the nobility and clergy, the First and Second Estates, were largely exempt from many taxes. This disparity created resentment among the common people. Agricultural problems. Poor harvests in the late 1780s, particularly in 1788 and 1789, led to food shortages and skyrocketing bread prices. The majority of the population depended on bread for sustenance, and rising prices caused widespread hunger and discontent. Economic inequality. The wealth disparity between the nobility and the common people was stark, contributing to feelings of injustice and fueling revolutionary sentiments. The bourgeoisie, while economically successful and increasingly influential, still lacked political power compared to the aristocracy. Inflation and rising costs. The cost of living increased significantly during this period due to inflation, exacerbating the difficulties faced by the lower classes. The combination of food shortages and inflation led to increased anger toward the government, increasing unemployment. Industrial changes and economic instability led to rising unemployment in urban areas. Many people found themselves without jobs, further eroding their ability to support their families and contributing to social unrest. Political mismanagement. The monarchy, led by King Louis XVI, failed to address the financial crisis effectively. Attempts at reform, such as those proposed by finance ministers like Jacques Necker and Charles de Calonne, met with resistance from the nobility and were often poorly executed. These economic hardships created a ripe environment for revolutionary ideas to take hold. The convergence of financial distress, social inequality, and political ineptitude galvanized widespread public discontent, culminating in the call for reform and ultimately leading to the French Revolution. The Revolution aimed to address not only the economic grievances, but also broader issues of political representation, rights, and social justice. The French Revolution, 1789 to 1799, was profoundly influenced by Enlightenment ideas, which emphasized reason, individualism, and secularism. Here are some key Enlightenment concepts that played a significant role in the Revolution. 1. Natural rights. Philosophers like John Locke argued that individuals possess inherent rights, such as life, liberty, and property. This idea influenced revolutionaries to advocate for the rights of citizens against the oppressive monarchy. Social contract. Theories by philosophers such as Rousseau posited that governments derive their authority from the consent of the governed. This notion encouraged the idea that citizens could rebel against tyranny. Equality and liberty. Enlightenment thinkers emphasized the importance of equality and personal freedom. The Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, adopted in 1789, embodied these principles, asserting that all men are born free and equal in rights. Skepticism of authority. Enlightenment philosophers often criticized divine right monarchy and hereditary privilege. This skepticism fueled revolutionary sentiments against the established order and the traditional privileges of the nobility and clergy. Reason and rationality. Enlightenment thought valued reason as the primary source of authority and legitimacy. This push for rational governance led revolutionaries to challenge the irrationality and corruption they perceived in the monarchy and the Ancien regime. Secularism. Enlightenment thinkers advocated for the separation of church and state. This helped to diminish the power of the Catholic Church in political matters during the Revolution and contributed to the establishment of civil rights irrespective of religious affiliation. Democracy and representative government. Calls for greater representation and voice in governance emerged from Enlightenment ideals. Revolutionaries sought to establish a government that reflected the will of the people, leading to the creation of various forms of republican governance during and after the Revolution. Critique of tradition. Enlightenment thought encouraged questioning established customs, traditions, and hierarchies. This critical perspective contributed to the revolutionary desire to dismantle feudal structures and the privileges associated with birth. These Enlightenment ideas prompted the French Revolution's leaders and participants to envision a new society based on principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity, challenging the existing political and social frameworks of their time. Events 1. Estates General, May 1789. King Louis XVI convened the Estates General to address the financial crisis, which led to a power struggle between the estates. National Assembly, June 1789. The Third Estate broke away and formed the National Assembly, asserting that it represented the people of France. Tennis Court Oath, June 20th, 1789. Members of the National Assembly vowed not to disband until they had drafted a new constitution. Storming of the Bastille, July 14th, 1789. This event is often regarded as the symbolic start of the Revolution, representing the overthrow of royal authority. Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, August 1789. This document laid out the fundamental principles of the Revolution, emphasizing individual rights and the sovereignty of the people. Reign of Terror, 1793 to 1794. Led by Robespierre and the Committee of Public Safety, the revolution escalated into violence, with thousands executed by guillotine, including King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette. Rise of Napoleon Bonaparte. The revolution ended with the rise of Napoleon, who staged a coup in 1799 and eventually became Emperor of France. Outcomes: 1. Abolition of monarchy. The French monarchy was abolished, leading to the establishment of a republic. Legal reforms. The Napoleonic Code was established, influencing legal systems worldwide. Spread of revolutionary ideas. The revolution inspired movements for democracy and independence across Europe and the Americas. Political turmoil. The French Revolution led to instability, wars, and a series of governments in France over the following decades. Legacy. The French Revolution is often seen as a catalyst for modern democracy and human rights, changing political thought and laying the groundwork for future revolutions globally. Its influence is evident in various democratic movements, institutions, and ideologies that emerged in the 19th and 20th centuries.